Welcome back to the Good News. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Doc.
And we are excited and delighted to be here to bring you more good news.
Today is Father's Day. So
is.
do I get the big piece of the rib, the big piece of the fried chicken, and the center of the dessert, and all those other good things that come in on Father's Day?
I plan on making you some sauteed zucchini and yellow squash and carrots with onions. So yes, you can have the big pieces of all the vegetables.
See, we're going to call family services on you because everybody who know me know I have lacnophobia.
That is so fake.
And lacnophobia, for those who didn't know, but I don't even want to insult them, but they already know that lacnophobia is a fear of vegetables.
Well, that's all right. I will hide them in something so you won't know they're vegetables. I'll make you a zucchini pizza.
So we had Juneteenth this week. We had the first day of summer started yesterday, and it started with a boom. It was almost 90 degrees yesterday. I'm like, already? Yes. 90?
Welcome to Hotlanta. And I have been looking forward to it because I it's amazingly, the hotter it gets, the less the bugs are out. So I guess they get hot. Yeah. And so I'm able to enjoy the outdoors a little more because they go into hibernation or whatever they do that makes them fly away somewhere else.
But I say I was so excited about the good news this morning because I knew you was going to come with a message today for not only fathers, but anybody who had an ear that was willing to hear, they heard. And today you came with a powerful message from Luke, was the 19th 1 through 19th 1 through 10. One of my favorite passages of scripture, talking about one of my favorite Bible characters, Zacchaeus. The chief tax collector.
Yeah.
But he's the chief tax collector. Yeah. And I've done a lot of research on Zacchaeus, and I love how you put it into play how he had a plan to seek Jesus, and then after he sought Jesus invited himself into his house, and that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Jesus invited himself, to people's houses, happen a lot. But every now and then, most men will come home with somebody, and the wife didn't know that they were going to bring home house guests. So what did Mrs. Zacchaeus had to say about that? She probably planned on cooking a steak, and then she had to make some spaghetti or some soup or something. Because, Jesus don't travel light. So if Jesus was coming to dinner, he probably had the 12 with him. Zacchaeus probably had a dinner at home waiting for 2, and then turned to 222.
So I talked about, because it just seemed like it gave us a step of how to get to the salvation, which is where the scripture ends in the 10th verse. So it starts out with Zacchaeus seeking Jesus. So I said he saw them, he brought him home, he dealt with the sin because the sin had to be dealt with, and then Jesus said salvation has come to this house. And one of the key things of the text that stood out to me, you preach this text and I've read it often, the clear of the they. They pointed out his sin. He's like, how he going to have dinner with them? And we say it all the time. Them, well, they say we shouldn't be doing it, and they will keep us from salvation.
And you know what I think really amazes me, puzzles me about the they? The they only say because they don't have the proper information. Yeah. They don't know if he was stealing.
That's one of the things I talked about, because when we hear Jesus coming and Jesus comes bringing miracles. He may ride deep with his crew, but he comes bringing miracles and making changes in people's lives. And so one of the things that I find contemporary Christians guilty of is that we want the miracle to come the way we want it. We want the miracle to come with some Gucci glasses. We don't want it to come with spit in our eye. We want the Jesus to just be able to say a word and do the healing. We would prefer that. Yeah. Just send your healing. Don't come by and see what I got going on in my house. Just come and send a word.
Yeah. So I said, there are a lot of us who are in good company with that. But can you imagine what the walk like to Zacchaeus' house was for Zacchaeus? I don't know if he was asking a lot of questions. Was he concerned about what his wife was going to think with Jesus coming? And Jesus, how we know Jesus knows everything. I don't even know if Zacchaeus' wife was prepared to cook, but Jesus knew, and he made it enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when they ran out of water, when they ran out of wine at the wedding, and he turned the water into wine. She was probably making steaks, and he probably turned it into steak burgers or something. He probably turned it into steak salad. And you know, I just have these different crazy thoughts about how Jesus knows everything, and he know how to make everything right. And the text that you gave today and the way you preached it, talking about your sermon topic was wise men and wise women still seek him. If we just seek him, seek him.
And the effort that Zacchaeus put into. So the text starts out with, because he was of short stature and he knew that Jesus was coming, that he climbed a sycamore tree to make sure that he could see Jesus as he was approaching. And Jesus, in turn, saw him. So when we are going out and we're putting in that effort of seeking Jesus and trying to find out who Jesus was, is what the text says. He wanted to know who Jesus was. And Jesus found him. Knock and the door will be open to you. Seek and ye shall find. And that's exactly what Zacchaeus gives us the example of doing in this text.
You gave a great illustrations of it, and I just think about how the fact that you were able to come up with a powerful message off of one of my favorite texts and stuff like that. But you know, it's just so good. You did a great job with that. And in addition to that, it was a lesson to not only men but women, because a lot of times we would find ourselves being guilty of something just because they told us we were guilty of it.
And I talked about the measuring stick. Well, I started out with a story about the green grass and what people do to keep their own grass green, and then the repercussions of that. And so as you are leading your family, if Jesus isn't your measuring stick, if it's just what's going on next door, what's going on across the way, then your family will never end up where you want them to be. And as the leader of the family, the head of the household, Zacchaeus, the breadwinner, making the decisions, when he decided to bring Jesus into the home, then the home changed. Salvation came to that house, not just to Zacchaeus. Salvation came to those that were standing around, because Jesus always saves the community. It's always about the us coming together, the one another. So we can't get there by ourselves. It's right there in the Great Commandments that we have to love one another and God. And so it was just so interesting to be able to step through it again, seeking, bringing, dealing with the sin, and bringing salvation to his home.
And finally, what really hit me was when you gave the illustration of how we're a product of our system.
Yeah.
How our system will cause us to make sins and commit sins that we normally wouldn't do. And when you was talking about that, you know, that just spoke volumes to a lot of people, especially those who do things at work, you know, but oh, they ordered all these pens, I'm supposed to steal something, take something home. Or, you know, they're supposed to, you know, they got all this copy paper. I got to print at home. I do work at home, so I got to steal some paper at work. And, you know, and it was just interesting how you talked about it. And, you know, just kind of share a little bit more about that system that coerces us and make people sin.
So when you think about it, as you have read through the Gospels, whenever you hear a tax collector, it's automatically equated with being a sinner. It was equated with being a different kind of sinner than just regular old sinner. So when he ate with the sinners and the tax collectors. And so it's obvious that system was sinful. That you had Jewish people who were working for the Roman government and had to follow the Roman rule. When you can't just approve my application for a 501c3 because you like me. You have to do what the government rules say. And so that system allowed for Zacchaeus to be the odds with the they.
You know, when you talk about the scamming process, you know, that's one of them words that a lot of criminals like to do now, and scam and
two sensibles, and get at least two.
Get the cream on it, to let the cream come to the top and skim some of the cream. You know, that'll get you in a lot of trouble.
Yes. So. And it seemed to be a common practice. It's as if the tax collectors could set their own rates. So I know I have to give this much to Rome, but it's up to me how much I actually collect from you to get. And so it just seemed to be, again, a system of sin. And so many of us can find ourselves trying to bring Jesus home, trying to seek Jesus, yet finding ourselves caught in a systemic sin.
There, and we got to not only save ourselves when Jesus comes to our life, we do have to save our home and our family and our communities.
Amen.
Thank you for that message.
Thank you.
Amen.
It was interesting pulling it together, and I just really, again, like you say, preaching one of your texts.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
That was just for me for Father's Day.
Amen. Well, we do want to thank you for joining us here at the Good News each week. I pray that you are being prayerful as our nation goes through this transition, because it's going to be the voices of the people that the Lord hears that will make him turn his heart back to us. So,
well, I don't want to end without acknowledging the wonderful gift that you gave me for Father's Day. I have this in blue and red. I'm not sure why I didn't get black, but I have it in blue and red, and it says 4 reasons why I love being G-pop. Naomi, Solomon, MJ, and let's get back to Eden. Living on top of the world and Eden. And I'm so grateful for the 4 grands that God has allowed to be a part of my quiver. And the children that we have that has blessed us with being some very happy G-pops and G-moms.
yeah, when you are a great dad and a great G-pop.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you.
And happy Father's Day to each and every one of you. I hope that you will tune into my podcast, Choose Joy with Tisa, each morning at 9 a.m. And you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Tisa, J is for Joy.
And you can follow me on YouTube at Be Better on Purpose with Dr. Darrell L. Jones, where you find videos of my sermons. You'll find videos that I've created and talked about, from family life, spirituality, football, finance, community. I'm talking about everything now. I'm talking about men. If you're a woman and you're looking for a man, I'll tell you some of the secrets of how to get him. If you're a man and looking for a woman, I'll tell you some of the secrets on how to get a fine wife like I have. If you want to know how to save money, I'll tell you how to save money. If you want to know how to keep it in your pocket. I'm just so thankful that God has blessed both of us with opportunity to share with not only the YouTube world, but the social media online community, as well as those that come to our life every day.
God is good. Thank you so much. We hope to see you next week.